Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have enjoyed your dinner. We're just going to interrupt you for a little while to do an amazing presentation. So it's my pleasure to introduce Judy Gordon, who is our past International Director and the current Vice Chair of the International Nominating Committee. Thank you, Judy.
District Governor Debbie, International Representative Christine, fellow Zontians and guests, good evening to you all. I have two very special tasks this evening. I'm delighted to formally introduce the Zonta International Director and Representative to District 23, Christine Dersch, from the Zonta Club of Marbeck in Germany in District 28. Christine joined Zonta in 2004, and since that time, she has taken on various leadership roles, including club president, area director and governor, and she was elected to the International Board as director at the 66th Zonta International Convention in Brisbane in 2024. In her professional life, Christine serves as a legal advisor and at an energy supply company and contributes as a member of a management board of a local public transport company. Christine is an advocate for raising the collective voices of Zontians and enhancing visibility to gain global recognition. She also aims to actively involve more scholarship recipients and maximise the impact of Zonta programs. The topic of parity is very important to Christine, and she firmly believes that the fair inclusion of women in political and economic decision-making is the key to real equality in our societies around the world. Before I hand the floor to Christine, I have a second special task, and that is to introduce our very special guest and recently announced Zonta International Honorary Membership awardee, solo yachtswoman Lisa Blair. All of us in District 23 couldn't be more delighted that this prestigious award is being presented tonight to Lisa. Lisa, you are joining a list of only 44 women who since 1970 have been granted Zonta International Honorary Membership for their significant contributions to advancing the status of women throughout the world. Attendees at last year's International Convention in Brisbane were lucky enough to hear Lisa deliver the keynote address, and many of you have had the pleasure of meeting this incredible woman, and some of you will have purchased her book. Since that time, 12 months ago, Lisa has continued to do amazing things as she embarks on a mission to protect our oceans by inspiring communities with her actions, fueling science and driving sustainable innovation. A multi-award record-holding sailor and climate activist, Lisa Blair, OAM, aims to become the first person to sail solo, non-stop and unassisted around the Arctic Circle. And I'm sure we're going to hear about that. Although tomorrow, Lisa will be delivering a similar address to the one that we were fortunate to hear at the Brisbane Convention. So look forward to that and make sure you're here first thing in the morning. But without further ado, it now gives me enormous pleasure to invite our International Director, Christine, to present the Zonta International Honorary Membership Award to Lisa Blair. Thank you.
Judy, I'm so happy about your words. It's really a pleasure to be here. Good evening, fellow Zontians, dear guests. On the 5th of June 2025, World Environment Day, Zonta International announced that it was naming Lisa Blair, OAM, an International Honorary Member. Zonta chose World Environment Day for this announcement as it was also an opportunity to elevate the issue of gender equality, one of Zonta International's 4 strategic focus areas and a cause that Mrs. Blair stands firmly for within her work. Mrs. Blair is the fastest person to sail solo, non-stop and unassisted around Antarctica on her yacht Climate Action Now. She holds 8 world records, having sailed over 130,000 nautical miles and holds an Royal Yachting Association Yachtmaster offshore. Mrs. Blair is a proud Australian adventurer, author of Facing Fear, and was a keynote speaker at the 2024 Zonta International Convention in Brisbane. There, she shared her inspirational story of how she came to be a climate activist and inspired others to take action now. Throughout her time at sea, Mrs. Blair has seen how humans have a direct impact upon the environment. From being close to shore to the most remote areas in the Antarctic, she saw evidence of microplastic and the damage they cause. Determined to get the topic into the headlines, Mrs. Blair chose to name her yacht Climate Action Now, so that the topic she cares so passionately about gets mentioned in the same media that announced her record-breaking actions. Mrs. Blair's Arctic Impact Project is another exercise in sustainability and action. She intends to build a sustainable boat from basalt rock and bioresins and sail it around the Arctic Circle. Zonta International commends Mrs. Blair for her actions in drawing attention to climate action and sustainability. In times of extreme weather events, research shows that women often face greater challenges in recovering than men. This disparity stems from systemic gender inequalities that result in women having access to fewer resources and opportunities. As more climate-related disasters occur, the gap between men and women widens, complicating women's ability to rebuild their lives in the face of obstacles to their education, employment, legal rights, and leadership roles. Zonta International and Mrs. Blair stand united in calling for swift and decisive actions that address climate change. The time to prepare is now, and we must ensure the needs of women and girls are met into before disaster strikes. We must work together to promote gender equality and ensure that both women and men have equal opportunities and resources to thrive. Now, on behalf of the Zonta International Board, it is my honor to formally present Lisa Blair with the Zonta International Honorary Membership. Lisa. I have the wrong glasses, so I can't see you. Okay, they're only for reading. So now on behalf of the Zonta International Board, it's my honor to formally present her with the Zonta International Honorary Membership. Lisa, thank you for being a champion of climate justice and gender equality in our work. We are proud to officially welcome you as a member of our global community of Zonta International.
Thank you so much.
And I have a small present from my hometown, but now I learned you're a vegan, so it's a little bit with chocolate, but maybe you can use it as a gift.
I can absolutely. Thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So,
Do you want me to stay or?
yeah, I don't know. How do you want now the questions?
Just go straight into it?
Oh, okay, yes. I don't know what's the plan. It's a little. Oh. It's a challenge for us. Yes. Yeah. In preparation, I watched various podcasts with Lisa, and in one you gave a very long interview when you were on high seas, and there were two topics that particularly inspired me, and your research results on microplastics are really alarming. And maybe you can briefly explain to us what level of contamination you found.
Is this one? This one's on. Cool. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Can I also just say a huge thank you to how amazing the Zonta community has been in adopting me into the fold and into your community. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for doing the amazing work that you do and for honouring me in such a way. So thank you. With regards to microplastics, it's
Yes.
actually terrifying.
Yes.
So on the second circumnavigation around Antarctica, I converted the sail locker into a micro lab on board the boat. And so it basically was taking samples 24/7 the whole way around Antarctica. So there wasn't a single section of ocean that I didn't sail through that I wasn't collecting a water sample from. When that was eventually processed, about 6 months later, I got the results from that. And we found plastic in every sample the entire way around Antarctica. Like every single sample. There's a section of the ocean where I was closer to the astronauts in outer space than any human on any piece of land, and it's called Point Nemo, or the oceanic pole of inaccessibility. And I actually found an above average amount of microplastics there than other areas of the trip. What we also did was we broke it down into the types of plastic. So we found 35% was fragments from larger plastic items that had broken down, so water bottles, car tyres, things like that, as they break down on a road and wash out to sea, or already in the ocean and breaking down. The other really interesting element of this, though, was that we found 64% was microfiber from the textile industry. And I didn't know it, but I since learned that every single load of laundry we do, if you imagine your dryer at home, like it collects the lint in the dryer, the same amount of lint is collected, but it gets washed away with the water in our washing machines. Every single load of laundry we do in every household with synthetic fibres, we're actually unknowingly contributing to that microplastics in our oceans. And for me to find a higher amount of fibre than fragments in the middle of the Southern Ocean is a pretty damning story. So yeah, that was one of the really terrifying things. We also found 50% of the fragments was clear, so indicative of like water bottles, single-use plastics, takeaway containers, that sort of thing. Yeah.
So you answered something of my next question. What can we do to minimize our impact? Maybe you have some ideas for us.
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually quite a lot that we can do on a day-by-day that doesn't take away from us living the quality lives that we live every day anyway. A couple of the key things that I like to communicate to people and share is you can buy a filter for your washing machine that captures the plastic before it actually hits the discharge line and washes out to sea. There's many different companies online, there's different budget ranges, so just do a bit of a Google, see what fits your budget and what actually works, because there is a little bit of greenwashing in that industry, so you do have to do just a little bit of extra research. But you can capture the plastic and then at least it's going to landfill instead of into the fish that you're going to eat in the ocean. You can also things like car tyres, right? So these days, car tyres are made from a combination of rubber and plastic. They're no longer just rubber. And so as we erode our tyres on the roads, we're releasing these microfibers and microfragments off, and then that's washing into the storm drains. All storm drains feed to the sea. So unknowingly, we're also, with our car usage, we're actually contributing to the microplastics in our oceans. We can drive less to do that, and we have the added bonus of, CO2 emissions being reduced as well, which is awesome. You can also, I think one of the most underrated actions that people do or don't do is understanding the value of how you vote with your dollar. If you think of the world as it's a supply and demand game. If there's no demand for that supplied item, they're not going to make it anymore. So every time you go to the grocery shop, every time you go and buy clothes, you're investing in what you want to see more of. And if you're investing in the chemically loaded, plastic packaged, really harmful items, even just as a standard grocery shop, you are creating a demand for that item, and so more supply will happen. However, if you go out to the shops on the eco solutions, we can't wait for governments to solve problems. We as individuals, we can actually do this together, but it requires just some slight behaviour changes in how we spend our money and how we use our resources to be able to get that result.
So, thank you so much. I think tomorrow morning we will hear a lot more about microplastic.
Absolutely. Oh, not so much the micro.
Not so much, okay. Then
I'll definitely take you on a wild ride around Antarctica.
then maybe if there's some question. So I have one different questions. In your podcasts, you spoke about the loneliness on sea and how difficult it is to find sleep. And I was really surprised because, yes, you were alone on this boat and you had to navigate. And how does it work? I can't imagine how it works. So many days and you had to sleep.
At some point, yeah, you don't get a lot. So as part of the rules, in order for me to undertake these voyages, I still have to meet the collision requirements and the coal regs. And so that means that I have to keep a good lookout by all available means at all times. And so I can use radar, I can use AIS, which is a ship identification system, but I also have to do line of sight. I have to be the human eyes because electronic instruments aren't reliable enough. So on long voyages, and it's actually a lot harder when I'm close to land than in the middle of the ocean, but I effectively don't sleep for more than 20 minutes in a single sleep. Welcome to my world. And I'll do like a 4 or 6 hour window of time where I'm trying to get as many 20-minute sleeps in that window of time. And then I'm doing something called sleep banking, or what I've termed sleep banking, which is any available moment that I'm not sailing the boat, I'm not doing navigation, I'm not talking to my comms team or fixing something, I'm trying to sleep because you never know when the next disaster is going to happen, which you'll learn about tomorrow. And when they hit, sometimes you're up for 50 hours and you've come off the back of 2 months of averaging 2 to 4 hour sleeps in 20-minute micro sleeps. So yeah, it definitely hits tipping points. I think the big thing for me is I've learned my triggers, so to speak. Like I can tell when I've hit a tipping point where I'm no longer making smart, safe decisions. And the biggest thing that I can see is that my ability to regulate my emotions stops. So I'll be in the middle of the ocean, totally fine. I'll pull a rope, it'll jam just ever so slightly, and then I'm bawling my eyes out, I'm screaming at the boat, I'm shouting at the wind gods because they haven't freaking given me straight wind, and it's just a mess. But nothing's actually wrong, I just need sleep. And so then I'll change the priorities across the boat and I'll let the boat sail slow for a little while. I'll prioritise getting extra 20-minute sleeps in until I feel I get back to a sort of semi-equilibrium, and then carry on and keep racing. Yeah, and I'll do that for 3 months straight.
Yeah, I heard this in the podcast and it's really unbelievable for me. I can't imagine how this works, but okay, you did it.
And the autopilot drives the boat while I'm sleeping, so I have a little electric autopilot that I set on the heading, and but I always have to trim the sails and maintain it. But
as you said, every time something can happen.
Yeah, well, a ship can get from beyond the horizon to within a collision range just outside of 20 minutes. So if you're on an incoming course, so you have to check. Yeah.
Okay. What's next? I hear it's another cold one.
Well, you've already announced it to the room, so that's good. So I'm planning to sail. So effectively over the sort of 8 records I've managed to generate, which is wild, I have been trying to work out how it can be the most impact to communities and how I can elevate the conversation of climate change, sustainability, ocean health, and all of those things out to our communities at the largest possible way. So this originally started when I finished the first Antarctica record. I had too much time on the boat and I thought, that sounds like a great project. Let's sail around the Arctic Circle. And it's been slowly building for about 7 years now. So I'm now coming to the point where I'm aiming to commission the boat next year and then leave 2027 for the record. So the goal is to use the project as an activator for community engagement, for schools program, advancing sustainability, impact events, and a whole array of things that I'm planning and working through, which I'm sure I will drag Zonta's community into it as things progress. But yeah, so no one's ever sailed solo, non-stop and unassisted around the Arctic before. It's only possible because of climate change and the ice caps melting. So to me, I think that's the loudest message I can share. If I can succeed in that project in one season, then, how else can you scream crisis from the top of the planet? So outside of that, I'm also trying to assist in sustainability in any other areas. And so since I've learned about the microplastics, I've also been learning about fiberglass and fiberglass pollution at sea. And it's kind of a relatively new area of being understood as to the severity of the pollution levels. But we currently have 35 to 40 million fiberglass boats reaching their end of life today over the last 50 years of production that's happened worldwide. We have no strategy for what we're doing with that waste, so most of it ends up at landfill. But what happens is your last boat owner for a recreational sailing boat is the least capable of paying to send it to the dump. And so they actually abandon their boats, sink them, and when they sink, they break down, become microplastics in the ocean and micro shards of fiberglass. There was an estimated study that I saw that showed out of France, they worked out it was on average 100,000 boats a year in France alone. And they ran a study over that year where they said, bring us your boats and we'll dispose of them for free. You just have to get them to us. And they had 2,000 boats disposed of and 100,000 were abandoned or sunk in that same window of time. So there are alternatives and there are solutions out there, but no one's really sharing the research to the point where we can accelerate and change a whole industry to shift towards a circular economy. So I'm effectively, through this project, the budget's huge, and it's because I'm funding this research for industry to advance the technology from where we are today to where we need to be, help create the policy changes, the circular economy structures, work with industry on a global scale, and facilitate the development of a material called basalt fibre and bioresins. And with the right combination, the right marrier, we should be able to make a fully closed loop circular economy structure for recreational boats. So moving forward to the 750,000 boats built every year, we're no longer adding to the problem. We can create a more sustainable solution. So yeah, so there's that, and then I'm also doing a major schools program where I'm connecting kids with live adventurers and teaching them about our environment and why we need to protect them, why they're precious, sustainability, all of that stuff from the boat in the middle of the ocean on record. So yeah, watch this space.
Yeah. You're really unbelievable. It's fantastic. It's really fantastic. I'm so proud that you are now a honorary member of Zonta International.
Thank you.
It's very, very good. And I think we will hear a lot of you the next years. So
Hopefully.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Are we in time? Good.